Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of Where I Went Wrong. And in this edition of Where I Went Wrong, I'll be doing Where I Went Wrong, UFC Vegas 51, or you can say UFC Fight Night, Luque versus Muhammad 2. So, yeah, I went 10-4 or 10-14, solid card. The streak continues, solid. But yeah, again, 10-4, 10-14. So don't just think this series is just, matter of fact, the series has never been just like, I had a bad card, or this week she is, I have a bad card, but it's like, what, 30 weeks in now? So I think everybody should be clear to it now, except maybe new subscribers. But it's just another thing to reflect on the fights and really focus on weak areas or in the card and where I can improve on, and somewhat a recap of maybe some of the key fights, or like especially the main event. But yeah. But I want on the start of this card with two losses. Estela Nunes versus Sam Hughes. That was one. And the other one was, I'm trying to think of it. Let me see what. Yeah, the first start out was bad, like horrible. Alatang versus Kroom. Kroom got discharged in like no time. Had him out there looking like Dan Hooker versus Arnold Allen. Matter of fact, had him looking worse than Dan Hooker versus Arnold Allen. But yeah, with that one, that was first fight. I wasn't really high on Alatang, to be honest. And it was never no confident lock pick or anything. It was not high. It was not lock. It wasn't average. I feel like it was a low confidence. Matter of fact, it was probably average, just for the fact that I bit so much into Kevin Kroom's height and reach and size in that one. But height and reach and size don't really mean nothing. You don't know how to use it. And I did also look back at the Roosevelt Roberts fight, and I did factor the Brian Kelleher fight too much, even though, I mean, Roosevelt Roberts fight was a nice upset, but it was ultimately turned to DQ, but still was factoring it. He did very good work against Kelleher. Wasn't pretty, but he was working. But, cutting down the weight, you're slower, you're more vulnerable. And it's not like you have weak areas, they're only going to be exposed even more at the lower weight class. And when you get hit, you're not going to be able to wear them as well. But I think I should just went with that one or in hindsight, I don't, like I said, it's not one of the picks I feel, well, I didn't even say this yet, but it's not one of the picks I feel necessarily so bad about, because, again, it wasn't like a lock pick, high confidence, average or low at best. I went with average. But the issue with that one was that was factoring his height. Like, he almost had, like 6 inches of height, nearly a foot of reach over him. So, like, I don't think he's all that nice. He got some power. Not these skills good. Really, in this one, this was Kevin Kroom's lack of defense. And, probably couldn't wear the shots as well as he could wear them at, other weight classes. And also that speed. But, yeah, that one, the lesson to be learned is that one. Only kind of go to that maybe if they have some proven track record, or at least they have some bit of skill. Oh, I'm not saying they don't have no skill, but skill is, the most important thing in the game, regardless of size. And size, like, it's going to be overcome, especially you got to at least be good at using reach. So I can see you're a guy that, historically, your strength has been your reach, and you know how to use that well. And you at least have got some defense. But going down, it was never really good if you're lacking in technique. Like, that's a bad recipe for disaster. You're lacking in technique. Going down to a more technical weight class, drain yourself. It is a recipe for getting stopped. So I guess in this one, lesson to be learned is, we see a guy like Kroom. Yes, he might be able to pick up some wins. I mean, they don't pick up wins at this level. He's just not at this level. And somebody said in comment section, and they ultimately were right. He's just not at this level. Was able to get like one little big win on a short notice. But other than that, every single time he got struck by Bruce Leroy embarrassingly. I'm not saying Bruce Leroy was a bad striker, but Bruce Leroy had him looking like he never struck a day in life. This fight had him look like he never struck a day in life. Looked okay against Kelleher, probably because that was at 45 and on short notice. But anywho, not gonna try to avoid guys that just aren't that tactical and just ignore some of those height and reach advantages, because unless they have a history using that, it's just like there's nothing really to lean to just based off that. Go with the guy that's more skilled. And really, in most cases, you should go with the person more skilled, not just the person that's taller and longer. Go with the person that's more skilled, unless the skill level is relatively even. I thought it was relatively even, but it clearly was not. Technique was clearly, I just thought, I'm more so going along the lines of talent, not skill. I thought talent level was on, could look at that one more. That's really what that one. Could look at that one more. And really, I just bit on the height and reach way too much in that one. Way too much. Bad prediction. This one right now is a bad prediction. But the next one, Sam Hughes or Estela Nunes versus Sam Hughes, or Sam Hughes versus Estela Nunes. With this one, this was a learning lesson. I knew that Hughes could wrestle her, but I thought, the same way with Kroom, I thought Hughes just was not, like, she had the ability to win, but I thought she wasn't that. Well, I picked Kroom in that one, but it was a case of, like, the same lesson that you learned from that one could still play in this one, and you and them like bite on it less and you would lost one just like that one. Like, cause I was looking at Sam Hughes as a fighter that's not all that good, not really fit for the UFC. She got her striking not really UFC caliber, her wrestling not UFC caliber. So I was like, Estela Nunes, her grappling, I worry about her wrestling defense, worry about her grappling a little bit, but she's definitely the better striker. And I feel like Sam Hughes, even though she should have a wrestling advantage, I feel like Estela Nunes shouldn't have no worries with that. It should be our striker. But the issue with that one is Estela Nunes was showed to be like a one-round fighter. Like she looked good through the first round, was easily picking apart Sam Hughes. But in the second round, she got flat-footed. And then Sam Hughes was even able to touch her, make it close, and then get like a crucifix at the end of that round. And then still that round, the third round, was able to get takedown easier, was able to touch her easier. So like a first-round fighter, you're losing probably to one of the worst fighters in the division. So it don't really bode well for either woman. Estela Nunes might still have some time to evolve, but after that type of performance, you can't really say she has too much time in the UFC left, and she's probably going to have to step out to like a smaller organization and pad those skills and come back. But Sam Hughes is, well, I don't know. Either way, with both of these women, I'm just looking at both of them as people to pick against in the future. It don't really say, oh, Sam Hughes has improved. Good for her that she got a win. Congrats. But it was a performance that necessarily, but like, gave either the best chance or showed either to have the best chance, of doing anything in this division. It didn't. And that's just what it is. And yeah, then next fight I had that went wrong was the Ronson versus Rafa Garcia in this one fight. And someone did mention that Ronson did have questionable wrestling defense. And it kind of did show like questionable wrestling defense. I kind of like overlooked it because of Nathan Shute and also the fact that he beat Nicholas Dalby, who actually has some pretty decent wrestling. Nathan Schultz was able to take him down. Very high level, like judo. So those different levels, world champion, caliber fighter. So like it would be different levels, but I'm not saying Rafa Garcia's a bad wrestler, but he's not the guy level where like you never say, oh, this guy's one of the better wrestlers or this guy's a wrestler to be worried about. You probably wouldn't have him on your worry list. Like if you got a little bit of wrestling issues or like wrestling something you're concerned about, you would not say, oh, this is the guy to worry about as far as wrestling. His wrestling's solid, but it's not like among the best. It's not too concerning with him, is all I'm saying. It's not too concerning. It's not. But clearly he showed, I'm gonna say he clearly showed. I didn't think more so it showed that but Jesse Ronson's wrestling defense definitely has some holes to it. Definitely needs some improvement. Definitely a weaker area of his. And going forward, if somebody has, you gotta start to factor in wrestling against him, and people gonna be looking for it more now. And if they get him an action with a wrestler, could be easy money against him. Striking wise, should be pretty solid. But wrestling wise, grappling wise, definitely some holes. But Rafa Garcia, I don't think his wrestling showed anything more impressive to me this fight. His striking looked more improved, and his BJJ looked more improved. That's what I saw. It wasn't necessarily his wrestling. I feel like wrestling was more so a knock on Ronson. No disrespect to Garcia, but more so a knock on Ronson. But his jiu-jitsu was definitely good, and he took his best. I mean, he took that point deduction so well, stayed calm, composed, turned up his volume, and got the finish. So I was very impressed with his finishing ability and his ability to adjust, like I said, jiu-jitsu, and improvements in striking. So Rafa Garcia went out there and also his conditioning. It looked like he was about to fade a little bit. Then he just, I don't know, maybe that point deduction energized him. Or it could just be the simple fact that his cardio, he's been working on it. It was like a issue with him in the Grudesmacher fight. So he's like, let me work on this. Kind of saw a little bit in the Nate Levy fight, but Nate Levy wasn't really doing no body shots. But still, improved on that and looked good in this fight. And he was able to get that second round finish. So, impressed from Rafa Garcia. Definitely will be looking out for him. And it could be some interesting matches for him that I probably will lean to him. Jesse Ronson, I feel like it's opened up a whole big door of people that I could pick against him. But maybe even get cut after this. I don't know. But yeah, with that wrestling and grappling, it's definitely opens up opportunities for potential some easy money to bet against him for Ronson. But good performance from Rafa Garcia. Ronson got to go back to the wheelhouse, work on that wrestling defense, and hopefully make improvement. But given his age, you can't really say it's going to adjust that much. Really around the age he is right now, people aren't making no improvements and stuff like that. And good money is that he won't. So it's going to be a vulnerability for him going forward. And just got to trust the track record when you pick against him if he's going to wrestle grappler. Lessons to be learned. So Rafa Garcia is still a relatively fresh face, but I'm getting intel. Ronson's an older face, but it's not like he's really been on the main scene too much lately, and he has been kind of inactive. So, but still, regaining intel on him. And then the fourth fight I got wrong was Miguel Beza versus Paulo Fiallo. Oh, Andre Fiallo. I'm gonna say his name up. If it's Paulo or Andre, I'm gonna say Fiallo. I'm butchering his name right now. And like this is no shade. I'm just name just eluding me right now, and I'm not trying to dig it up, like, cause these Brazilian names be kind of get me confused with other fighters. Like probably definitely not probably Paulo, it's probably Andre, because Paulo, that's Paulo Costa, Andre Fiallo. But I'm gonna say Fiallo just so I don't keep saying his name wrong either way. But in this one, I think the small cage definitely helped. Like people say small cage, but I didn't think it would affect too much, but it definitely helped. And I feel like Miguel Beza is definitely rattled right now. Like even prior going this fight, coming off like what 2 back-to-back losses, one of them TKO losses, and like his defensive say, I feel like when he first came to UFC, his defense was pretty solid. Like his first fight, and I feel like after every fight after his first fight, he's been like much more hittable. Like he just stopped, took away from his fundamentals. But he definitely needed to take some time off, maybe take a step down in competition. Maybe a fight he can wrestle more in. Maybe a fight he can go in there with a fight that don't necessarily have power. You know, get himself back in his groove and work on his fundamentals. Because defensively, there's some holes there. Too upright, backhand too low. And so when people pressure him, they get past that little jab, and his chin's right exposed, and they could touch him. They could crowd his space. It's not like his jab's all that great, or his foot movement footwork is all that great. So he loses too many openings right now to feel like he need to go back to his wheelhouse and work on some things. But the small cage definitely helped, and I feel like he was a little bit rattled, but nothing to take away from Fiallo. Fiallo pressed him, was able to like get behind that jab or get through that jab and touch him with big shots and walk him down and just tag him up. But like, yeah, good performance from Fiallo. Don't necessarily know where he goes with this one, but that power is definitely real. And Beza took some serious damage in these last 2 fights, and he's going to need to take some time off, because rushing back to try to get a win or try to do anything is not going to be good for him. It'd probably be better if he even just took it'd probably be better if he just even took 2 years off than try to rush back. People might say, oh, 2 years, that's detrimental to your career and your money, but detrimental to your health is even worse. And you can leave the UFC. There's other things you probably could do on the side while trying to work on getting better, and then come out of UFC to have a UFC contract, and then probably go on a winning streak or something, or try to work to do this, work that. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's what I advise for him, but I'm saying is take a step down, probably the best advice. Take some months off, like maybe 6 months, and then take a step back, take a step back. Matter of fact, not even laterally, take a step back, and then try to come back up. That's what I would advise for him. Fiallo could hop right back in another fight, and I feel like he should kind of move laterally, pick up some wins. I don't feel like he try to jump up in competition right now. I feel like there's still some improvements he need to work on. And, need some more he needs to show for himself. And, just build some confidence, build some wins up in the UFC, and then move up. Right now, I feel like it's comfortable for him to move laterally, pick up 2-3 wins. And it's not like, even in the UFC, even if you're not really fighting upward, or you can even fight backward. You can fight backwards, you can fight laterally. As long as you pile on wins, you're moving forward, to be honest. So it's not like, oh, I fought number 30, now I fought number 40, now I fought number 35 or something like that. They'll say 3-fight win streak regardless. And then the fact that you're on a 3-fight win streak, you could gain the attention of people in the top 50, especially if they're impressive wins. But I'm not saying that's the best way to win it, but I'm saying at least at the end of the day, winning will push you further than trying to step up in big competition and losing. Like, you're trying to go straight upward trajectory. You're fighting guys like top 15, top 10, and then you win, lose. And the next thing you know, you run into a wall, and you go on a 3-fight losing streak. Then you 2-5, but you fought some decent guy like that. You'll get the respect, you get the attention, but then you'll be out the UFC. But I say best thing is pick up some wins for him. But good performance from Fiallo, and definitely showing to be a big threat in this division at this given point. And yeah, that's all 4 of my losses. Went 10-4, 10-14 again. And as far as the main event and co-main event, what is it about the co-main event? Kyle Barajo press performance. Showed some real solid jiu-jitsu out there. Some real good sweeps. It looked very impressive. Could be a guy to look forward in the future. Definitely show himself to be a top talent. For the undefeated Russian, and out-grappled him, out-struck him, classed him, in my opinion, in that performance. So good performance from him. And again, definitely a guy to watch out for. And then the main event, Muhammad went with Muhammad. He got a hand right over Luque in a rematch. And that kind of played out just how I thought it would if he were to win. And I picked him to win. But yeah, wrestling defense was not wrestling defense, but Luque's wrestling defense is definitely questionable. And Muhammad exposed that and showed good striking, showed a good rounded skill set. Good round. Why am I talking like this? A good, well-rounded skill set. And I don't know why anybody was hating on Muhammad. Like, he could be this, he could be that, he could be boring, he could be cringy. But the guy's a fighter of respect. And people gonna hate on his style, but there's so many fighters that fight like him. And when they win or when people pick them, they're like, oh my gosh, they be putting all that money on these decision fighters. And there's so many decision fighters in the UFC, especially at the highest level. So I don't see no reason why they hate Muhammad. It was actually a pretty good fight. It wasn't a case like he just went out there and just literally laid on him, did nothing. He struck him for a large portion of rounds. It wasn't a case he just took him down and held him down for 5 minutes. It was not that. He would strike for him like 2 minutes. In some rounds, he would outstrike him. But in all the rounds, he would out-wrestle him. And he did what he had to do to get past a guy that was a dangerous matchup, a guy who had knocked him out previously. And he won a pretty dominant fashion. I think Luque had like 1 round. And even that 1 round, he still got taken down and controlled for a good portion of the round. Matter of fact, that probably still could, in my opinion, could have been a Muhammad round. So Muhammad fought a good performance, was fasting and all that, and still went out there and fought a pretty dominant performance and put together a game plan and stuck to it to be the top guy who's dangerous everywhere. And also, like I said, he's going to fight smart, fight safe. He's not going to take risks necessarily, which a lot of people can hate him for, but he did what he had to do. And he in that same position, went tried to jump position and got tapped out. Muhammad didn't take necessarily the same risk, but he got his hand raised. And he would have been making fun of him if he won, which they are, and they would have definitely made fun of him if he lost, but he won. And now all they do is crowd and click keyboard. So good win for Muhammad. And I like to see him going forward. I feel like he could be a good matchup for Kobe Covington. I feel like low-key he might have a good chance with him. I feel like he surprisingly could have a good chance with Usman. Kamzat, not really sure with that one. I feel like Kamzat probably clear. Kamzat will beat him. Leon Edwards, pretty competitive fight, but I would lean to Leon Edwards as I leaned the first time. Leon Edwards has much better wrestling defense than Luque. And in those clinch areas, in those little tight spaces, he does much more elbows, much better in the clinch, better knees, much better offensive wrestling and defensive wrestling. So that'd be a good matchup. But again, I would lean Leon Edwards in that one. But competitive fight. And like I said, that definitely fight that could be run back. Gilbert Burns, I feel like the Gilbert Burns that fought Kamzat Chimaev is a very dangerous matchup for Bilal Muhammad. So interesting matchups to go for. I'll probably lean Gilbert Burns in that one. So good matchups going forward. And wish the best for him. And also Luque as well. Hopefully he can rebound. And I would like to see him having some of these top 5, more of these top 5 matchups, or top 10 at least, and get back in that picture. But another good card of fights, and that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.